In fact, I don't think I've ever shared this with Edouard, but he did it so well that my father was like, he doesn't know Edouard very well, saw the movie,
Mm-hmm.
was I think, somewhat impressed by it, certainly with Edouard's performance. And he's like, that guy's, some to the extent of that guy must be a druggie. Hey, Jim.
What's up, fellas? How's it going?
Good, my man. How you look like that room looks awfully entertaining.
Man, I had to decorate, something there. I put a neon sign, that cardboard, of this wrestler Mandy Rose there to cover up the cables. I mean, it wasn't working out when it was in my bedroom. As a single guy, got way too much commentary there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
With dates and all. So, I guess the living room spot's where it works.
Looks like fun.
Well, not as much as fun as you guys had in this film. It looks like it, and at least what's going on. Hey, heck, it looks like Aiden got made up with Detective Wall, huh? Since you guys are both on the chat here.
There you go. There you go.
Where are you guys at currently?
Took a little bit of time, but we found our way back to each other.
Certainly did. Where are you guys at currently?
I'm over in Florida, in Miami.
Oh, very nice. How about you, Cam?
Yep, we're sweating on the East Coast. I'm up here in New York, nice and hot, humid.
And I'm in the Midwest in Chicago, so I can relate.
Yeah.
Good news is a little cool off's coming your way since it hits us first.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, is that you getting that right now? You getting that sort of cooler weather?
Yeah, it was. I know that humidity that's in New York, man. It's unbreathable for the last like 4 days here, but today it's like low 70s and no humidity. So hopefully you get that in a day or two.
Looking forward to it.
And Miami, I know is hot for sure, right?
70-80% humidity, yeah.
Hey, but it's nice. At least you got the beach and ocean there, so can't go wrong.
Exactly.
Well, hey,
Edouard looks great in a bikini too, by the way.
Oh, he does. Oh, is that
Yeah.
so?
Well, it's not far. I cut my hair, but it's not far from that billboard. I was gonna say.
I took a double take too, man. It's fun.
I mean, hey, you had that one scene. I was wondering, I'm like, did they have you have any underwear on or something that mirrors?
Yes, I love it. So anyways, the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that was all me.
Literally. So, you look like you've been in shape. I could take some tips probably too at the gym or nutrition tips. So you got that covered.
Well, and that all of those scenes I think it was the director and Gigi, our DP, but and a lot of decisions that we've spoken about today, we shared with Cameron, but a lot of decisions in the movie was to make it as raw as possible. So
yeah.
That was my first time being naked on camera, and it was it. And so that naturally brought what it brought out of it. You know what I mean? And a lot of the things, there were a lot of firsts on the project, and a lot of I think cool, genuine moments that came because of that.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Any other that come to mind? Any other first besides that one? That was clear.
I mean, it was definitely first time. I prepped a lot for the film. It was first time of that. It was my first real lead role, and as a whole, it was really the first time where I was able to say, okay, I can do this, and I have a passion for it. Not only a passion, but I feel it that I have something to share and I have something to give. Whereas before it was, I think like a lot of actors, you naturally doubt yourself because it is a really hard process, and very few get to even get on camera.
Sure, yeah, especially and lead a movie like that. Cam, what's interesting for me? I mean, obviously your story's been told and you've been outspoken at it. Did it seem familiar to you reading the script or even being on set or situations you might have been in real life that this character Aiden goes through? Because it's kind of like you're on the opposite end of it now, being the detective in the film. But was there a lot of like kind of flashbacks for you maybe or something you shared with Edouard about just your experiences?
That's a good question. you know, really, I sort of get lost in the moment and in the scene and what we're doing on the day. I don't really do a whole lot of you know, recollection of my past and my journey, but I will say that you're right. You know, I based on my experiences, I certainly have insight into in that world and that reality, and Edouard really nailed it. You know, I thought he was really authentic, natural, and had some really tough scenes. In fact, I don't think I've ever shared this with Edouard, but he did it so well that my father was like, you know, he doesn't know Edouard very well, saw the movie,
Hmm.
was I think, you know, somewhat impressed by it, certainly with Edouard's performance. And he's like, you know, that guy's, some to the extent of that guy must be a druggie, you know. And I said,
That's
no, in
in a
fact,
weird way, it's a compliment. You know what
it's
I
a
mean?
real, it's no total compliment, you know,
Yeah.
just because of the sort of grasp and understanding
Wow.
that Edouard showed on camera. So I thought that was, and I never shared that with you, Edouard, but I thought that was a real testament to your performance, my man.
That's incredible. That's incredible. But you know, it's
Yeah.
I think it's like I said, that was my first experience, and you're a sponge. You know, I looked up every acting tip and everything. Even on the day, because you're so before we started, I was so I guess nervous about what if you don't do right and you don't do the right decision. And I remember hearing, you know, to do is to do less. That was one of the great tips. And
Mhm.
that's definitely something I encounter with Cameron, but there's also acting is reacting. And it's one thing to hear it, but to understand it, you almost need to apply it. And I remember that second day was really when the movie took off, because it was most of the hardest scenes were filmed on that day, was when I met Cameron on his birthday. And we had that opening scene in the movie. And since then, any credit just goes to it's a reaction of what is being given to me. So it's all because of Cameron. It's all because of the other actors and the DP and the director and all of them who made it happen. I just had to react off of it. So
Wow. Did you guys connect off camera too? It seems like there's this mutual respect for sure and admiration for each other. Did you guys get to know each other? I guess I'm going to ask you guys, what is kind of your favorite thing that you learned about each other? Cam, I'm going to start with you. What about him that really struck to you as just as a person, as an individual that you got to know?
first off,
Well,
he's an awesome person. He's just
you said you were not going to talk about, you know, my
exactly.
shortcomings, Edouard. The list goes on and on. We'll be here, you know, for another hour at least. No, I'll answer that by saying, you know, in life, you know, it happens every so often. You kind of you meet people and you just click with them right away for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And that was, you know, my experience with Edouard. So that was sort of the foundation that was just laid, fortunately, based on, you know, the chemistry that we just had naturally, you know, as human beings with one another. And then from that foundation, we just built upon it and had fun and trusted each other and took chances and really developed a friendship. You know, Edouard is a very good friend of mine as well.
Well, that's cool to hear. Edouard, what about Cam that really stuck out to you that you know that you take away with?
He's just lying. We're not.
I'm an
I
actor, man.
I mean, he's a good actor. Don't fall for it. I think probably the coolest bit was we had done a lot of intense scenes together, and there wasn't a lot of time because it was such a rapid shoot, and it was as indie as you can almost get.
Mhm.
It was one thing after the other, and I remember at one point I wasn't eating much, but on a dinner break or the lunch break, whatever it was, we said with Cameron, why don't we just go to the Burger King just to get some time together? And so he would go in his cop outfit, and I looked like a dealer and an addict all at once with a hoodie, and it looked like the thing, you know what I mean? That it was a cut to interior Burger King.
Yeah.
But it was great, and those are moments where I was just able to, you know, just connect with him and completely outside of the working field. So then when we went on, the more we hung out until that last scene. And it's funny, I think one of our last scenes was in one of the last scenes in the movie. And that was everything you see on that screen. I still watch and I say, oh, that kind of looks, it's somewhat beautiful, the look they have for each other, because there's a real sense of love. And that love was building all throughout the movie when we were working together, until that day where you can just, it doesn't take much, you can just look at each other and you're genuine about the feelings for each other. Because we, at least on my side, there's so much respect for the guy, just for who he is and just for what he does and the care he showed me. So yeah, I think it was all very genuine.
That's cool. There's like, Cam, you mentioned the rawness of the portrayal. I mean, just in general of the movie, all the characters really. But when I'm watching Edouard, I'm thinking of like actors like Michael Pitt and a young DiCaprio. Did it cross your mind someone that you kind of felt familiar that through his performance and all that? Because I see a lot of really big time talented actors kind of at the young age when I see his performance in this film.
Agreed. Yeah, I see the same thing you do.
That's fantastic. And I'm sure, he's been doing a thing or two, right? I mean, he's been cast in 2 Ridley Scott movies, so that's a pretty good thing, right?
Exactly.
How's that relationship? I mean, to form, since you're still kind of, in a sense, getting your journey started in this industry, to be, recognized by such a famed director and be in his pictures.
Exactly what you'd think. You know what I mean? It's one thing of I think you always remain just because you're close to them doesn't mean you're not a huge fan, or you got to work with them doesn't mean you're still at awe just as much as you'd be, if you read about them or you see them on the television. Listen, he's a force of nature. At his age, what he does is just, no, you don't mess with him, and the force he has and the love and attention he and the time he takes to put into his actors. Even me, the first time I got to work with him was supposed to be an audition for another movie, which we ended up shooting earlier this year. But he was like that. He was saying, well, if you don't mess it up, then I'll keep you in it. And I was very lucky to.
No pressure, right?
Yeah, but it's fantastic. It's those people. I've only worked with incredible people. Mostly, he was the first male director I've worked with, but every director I've worked with, they've had a thing where they say, I'm the director, here's the script, but this is about you, so you go and do it. And that has been incredible, because I don't put a big button on acting and trying to act, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just kind of they roll it and it happens, or I guess, and hopefully people like it.
That's cool. And Cam, I gotta say, I saw your dad basically in you and a lot in this movie, just your mannerisms, performances, some of the side shots. It was crazy, as if I was watching your dad at a younger age. Do you notice yourself sometimes when you see yourself on camera, certain mannerisms that are similar to your dad, or the ways you do things? Because I certainly saw it, especially in this film.
Genetics are pretty interesting, and certainly notice some idiosyncrasies that we have in common. And also, some things skip generations. I see some things in my daughter that maybe I don't see in myself, but I see in my grandmother. It's just, genetics are fascinating, but they are certainly run pretty strong in my family, it seems.
It's cool. And definitely you continue a long, great legacy. It's and maybe it's going to be passed down, with your kids too. So fantastic job, guys, in this film. It was a really interesting film. I enjoyed the rawness of it, and the performances were super cool. And you know what? Actually, a funny part is the actress Grace Pipus in a movie. She was my classmate in an acting class. So it was funny to see her in this film. I'm like, oh, look, my classmate's in it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, she played Marisol in the film. So I think you worked with her previously too, Edouard.
Yeah, that's cool. That's very, very cool.
Yeah, so a little nice personal connection. So that's awesome.
There you go.
Hey, fellas, thanks for taking the time to talk to me, and hope to see you guys again, reunite on screen. And I'll be looking out for both of you individually in the meantime.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So
Thank you for a fun interview, Jim.
You take care. Take care, fellas.
All right. Cheers.